Just a sprinkle a day, make your hoe fade away. Have your hoes been sprinkled today? 10 points to whoever knows what that's from. You guys tweet me your answers. Welcome to another episode of Gayside Stories, bringing you a little slice of LGBT and everybody else news and discussion we can all relate to because we are all just what? Ordinary people. John Legend told us, and it is true. I am your host, Trillificent, and guess what? I'm magnificent, but you guys can call me TJ for short. Check out GaysideStories.com for more information. Feel free to interact with me as well. You can submit some show topic ideas, some stories you don't mind sharing, content for like a Schoolin Life or Trill Minds. If you have a short story prompt, send all of that to GaysideStories@gmail.com or use the contact form on the site. You can also find this podcast, if you haven't already, on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. You can subscribe on any of those. Make sure you guys also rate and comment. Please share the show with others, retweet links, share on Facebook, all of that good stuff. That is how this show will grow, and hopefully, we can reach a bigger audience and all of that good stuff. So a little sidebar before I move on with the show. As you might have realized, I am here by myself. So, shit happens. Shit happens. You all live just like I do. Shit happens, and it happens regularly. Really, that is just the gay-ass top verse and bottom line. Gayside Stories will only have one host from now on. Now, that could always change in the future, but for now, it's just me. And I will be having some guest hosts very soon. I want to bring in some more perspectives, so I'm going to have some straight guests, some bi, lesbian, and trans. Hopefully I can pull all of that together. And before y'all ask, Cheshire and I are fine. You will probably hear him again on the show in the future as a guest. Who can say no to Bar Cheshire? I mean, honestly. So Gayside Stories will be available from now on, probably on Mondays, but at the very latest on the usual Tuesdays. But it's probably going to be on Monday. Unless, of course, some shit goes down because life. All right. So let's move on to the Trill Mind segment of this show. This was an interesting link, and I really hits close to home. Not for me personally, but I think for the community, especially for gay men. And the article read, "Poppers may cause permanent eye damage, new research finds." So in 2006, isobutyl nitrate was classed as a cancer-causing agent. It was replaced with isopropyl nitrate. Now, isopropyl nitrate is believed to damage the portion of the retina responsible for central vision. There was a doctor, Dr. Rebecca Rubery. Now, she profiled 12 men, and they all reported vision problems like blurriness and blind spots after taking the drug. Most of the subjects did recover fully, and her assessment after that was that the level of harm associated with poppers should be reassessed. Now, obviously, as with all, news stories, take this with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Personally, I've never done poppers. It's just not my cup of Kool-Aid, so to speak. However, if you are fond of a little sniff and stick, there's nothing wrong with that, but you might want to do a little research, especially on the brand and the ingredients. You want to keep that vision. You want to keep it 100. You want to be able to see, the fine sexes. You want to be able to, still scroll Instagram and stuff when you're in your 40s and 50s. You don't want to be the one that's like, I can't see nothing. Where y'all at? Where the boy? You want to be able to see. So just do a little research. Obviously, and we say that with everything. Do research on what you're putting into your body. So especially with poppers, though, you guys be safe, be fun, have fun, but be safe. So let's move on to the Schoolin Life segment. So this week, my Schoolin Life is Fanfiction. So, okay, listen, this is what happened. I recently got a Fire Stick, and I did the jailbreak thing to it. So, I've been watching all kinds of movies. I've just been like movies that I have forgotten that I wanted to see. I was just like, ooh, just hitting a little button and getting my vision on. So, excuse me. I watched Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and The Man of Steel. I watched them back to back because I had been meaning to watch them and I just forgot. So obviously my obsession with Henry Cavill returned after watching those. The movies were But he is, that is a nice, big, fine white man. So, hey, Henry. So, after that, I was like, well, the little creative juices, a little flowing a little bit. I was like, well, let me see what's out there. So I watched, I got online and, I went to like, Archive of Our Own, where I do have a story that I wrote. Fan fiction is hard because it's hard. It's for me personally to get into the mindset of those characters and make it feel authentic. But I like going on there and reading, but I do have something there. So I was just reading some of those. I still have some more to read, but I was just getting my little life. It's always interesting reading fan fiction because you come across some and it's just like, and then some of them like, ooh, and then some of them you're like, god damn, like you need to be writing novels. So I came across like one or two that I was like, god damn, this is good. So that was my little thing for the week. Secondly, and this was just from Friday, but hey, it counts. Mary J. Blige's new album, Strength of a Woman. The album is great. I really like it. Now, I love Mary J. Blige, but I'm not like a huge Mary J. Blige fan. I have not listened to a Mary J. Blige album all the way through since maybe The Breakthrough. But with everything going on, I was like, let me give this album a listen. And it wasn't because, and I hate that it reigned true that pain would make better music, but it did. It is what it is. The album was great, but at the same time listening to it, I was just like, I hate that she went through this and is going through, like, you can hear the pain in her voice, the lyrics, you can just like, you can like, this some shit, like. So again, I hate that she had to go through, or that she is going through what she is going through, but the music is great, and I think that it is a project that she is and should be very, very proud of. So favorite tracks, of course, Glow Up. That's like the petty person's anthem post breakup. Like, I'm gonna glow up and I'm gonna stun on you with your bitch ass. Love that song. That's the first time I can remember ever hearing Quavo. I have not really gotten into the Migos thing, so I've never heard him, and it was okay. I mean, like, yeah, okay, sure. Set Me Free, another favorite on the song. The lyrics were like the part where she was just like, how the hell you gonna tell me that everything I have is because of you, and I had it before you got here? I was like, sing! Come on and preach. And the part where she was like, there's a special place in hell for you with your bitch ass. I feel like the bitch ass part, like, she said it and they just like edited it out because it was a bit much, but I mean, it applies. Indestructible, also a good one. Thank You, again, the lyrics and Thank You were really good. And the last one was Strength of a Woman. Now, I like all of the songs, but those were just my favorite. So you guys also can tweet me some of your favorite songs from that album if you listen to it. If you haven't, check it out. Stream it. I'm not sure where all it streams, but I listen to it on Apple Music. And that's it. Low key, I cannot wait to hear Dustin Ross from the Friend Zone talk about this. Like, he's a Mary J. Blige stan, and I'm very interested to see what he has to say about it. I'm sure it's going to be funny and all of that good stuff. So let's move on to the main topic for this week. So this week, this is going to be a very, very personal story, but I felt like it was important to tell. It's not specifically gay related, but it's life. And again, part of the thing with this show and with a lot of LGBT spaces is that, we have to show that, yes, we love the same gender, or whatever the case may be. We have whatever your personal story is that is considered outside of the norm, which is bullshit. But at the same time, we live just like everyone else. We go through the same things. We have the same trials and tribulations. We work. We do all of the same things that everybody else does. We pay taxes, all of that good stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to talk to you guys about my recent stint with unemployment. So I was unemployed for about 7 months, since early September of 2016. I worked for a company as a contractor. Like, I worked for a company, I worked in an office, but I was contract. So there was no severance package or anything like that. And when I got told that I was getting laid off, it could not have come at a worse time. Like I was already having a shitty day. And as soon as I get to work, I'm wet from having been out in the rain. As soon as I get to work, my boss IMs me and is like, come to my office, we need to talk. And I go in there and she's like, oh, how are you? And I'm like, obviously, I'm not doing very well. You see that I am very wet. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not going to make your day any better. And I was like, here we fucking go. I thought it was going to be some bullshit. I did not expect her to say, well, they've decided to pull your contract, so you have until the end of the month. So I had 2 weeks. On one hand, I was grateful that they were telling me early, but I felt like even 2 weeks was a little bit late. But at the same time, I was like, okay, we have so much shit that we have going on. They just gonna kick me out, like all of us, like with 2 weeks, like we have all these deadlines that we're trying to meet. Like it was just a lot going on, a lot that I was doing at the time. And I was like, how am I supposed to wrap all this up in 2 weeks to hand over to you? And she was just looking at me like, Adore? And I was like, So I'm like, here we go. Now, I was not totally surprised. Like I was shocked, I guess, but I wasn't surprised because with the way things were going in the industry, I work in the oil and gas industry for context. Um, we were in a slump, so I was like, and people were moving from the project, and they already were getting rid of people. Every month they were shrinking the project team. So I knew it was going to happen, but I thought it was going to be October. That was what I planned for. Like they said my contract would go through December, but I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to make it to December. But I know we have these deadlines and I know that I need to wrap this stuff up. So it'll probably be October. Well, I was quite wrong, obviously. So, that just hit me like a ton of bricks and I was just like, okay. And I just left. And I think that I think I emailed her one night, after like an hour or two, and I was like, you know what, I don't feel good. I'm going home. Like I just was not in a good space. And that was my first time being like really unemployed for a long time since I started working full time in 2006. And yes, I know I am advanced in age for a gay, but you know what? I'm still here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. No Tisha Campbell. So the industry was really slow. Again, like I said, so it was hard finding a job. Like I started looking as soon as I found out. Like I think I went back to my desk that same day, started applying for some jobs, and then I went home and applied for some more jobs. And I had so many disappointments because it was just like, you get contacted about jobs and you never hear anything from the recruiter again. I had an interview before I even finished my assignment, and the interview went great. Like I went outside, like I was in my truck in the middle of the day at work on a conference call for an interview, and the interview went great. Like everything, when I was just, they were like, yeah, we like you, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, this will work. I can do this. Like, I can move from this. And the job that I was interviewing for was way out of state. I'm here in Houston, Texas, and the job was like in New Jersey somewhere. But I was like, I can make this work. Then I never heard anything. And I had to follow up with them only for them to tell me, oh, well, we decided to go in a different direction. But, let's talk in a month or so. And I was like, bitch, talk to these goddamn nuts, bitch. Oh, that shit just made me so mad. Eventually, even from there, things just really dried up. And I was applying to jobs out of habit and necessity. So I did apply for unemployment. And I did get approved for unemployment. And this kept me afloat. Like, obviously you don't bring in as much money with unemployment, but it was enough for me to pay my essential bills and, put gas in my truck, even though I wasn't really going anywhere. Stuff like that. Like it was still positive cash flow was my point. But and with analyzing my budget and my bills, I was still paying out more than I was bringing in. So I started going through my savings. I went through my 401k, which it wasn't much because I forgot to turn in the form, so they didn't take out I missed like a year and a half worth of 401k building But I got that. I was really just doing everything, and I even applied for SNAP, which is food stamps. And that, when I tell you, SNAP was a lifesaver because they gave me like almost $200 a month, and they're like, just not having to worry about food on top of everything else was just such a blessing. Like, I was just, oh man. And I wasn't out there, like, I was trying to make the shit last every month. So I wasn't, just buying a bunch of, like, I wasn't out there buying steak. And I mean, I wasn't buying anything that I don't usually eat. So, but still, that was, 200. I mean, I don't even think I was spending the whole $200. I think I would go and, like, never mind. But it rolled over, I think. So, when things got low, then I would spend a little more. Like, I think in October or November, I spent more because I had, was using up everything that I had. Anyway, moving forward, like I say, things were just dry as hell. I think in November, I may have gotten contact for a job in DC. And I was like, okay, this can work. Like, I've always, in the very, very back reaches of my mind, flirted with the idea of maybe I could move to DC. Like, I have friends out there. Shout out to Juanita. I every time I visit, I love it, and I was like, okay, I was like, if I'm gonna move anywhere, then DC could be it. However, the pay was terrible. Like, they wanted to pay me in like styrofoam cup scrappings. They wanted to pay me in discarded coffee beans. They wanted to pay me in old bags of toenail clippings. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is supposed to be able to live off of this in the fuck C, Washington D.C. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do with this? So I struggled with that because I ended up getting that job, and I was like, okay, I'm just was struggling. Like, my stomach was churning. It was hard for me to sleep. I was like, how am I going to make this work? Because not only am I not going to be making a lot of money, I have to find a way to move when my funds are already depleted, and I'm not getting any relocation assistance. Like, I feel like a lot of places, I mean, I'm sure maybe, depending on what you do, but I feel like relocation assistance is not as common as it used to be. And that may just be a testament to what the industry is like, what the country is like. I don't know. All I know is every job where they were like, oh yeah, this would be good for you, and I'm like, okay, well, what about that relocation? And they be like, nigga, no. And I'm like, bitch, fuck, because moving across country is not cheap. So I ended up turning the job down, and I struggled with this because I was of the mindset, and I feel like I was raised that when you have your hand out and someone puts something in it, you don't slap their hand away. And that was what it felt like. It felt like I was, doing some kind of disservice to myself, or I was going against the grain by turning down a job. Like, I don't have a job. Who the fuck am I to be turning down a job? But I had to do it. And things started to get tight. This was around January when I turned down that job, and things started to get tight. I mean, I was sitting here just in a daze some days. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for that. I don't know what I'm gonna do if I can't pay for these things. Like, if I can't make my rent, what am I gonna do? Um, I started driving Uber, and I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, I can make ends meet with Uber, which I could, but the thing that I did not count with driving Uber is that gas gas is expensive, and that shit starts to add up very quickly. So it was like, okay, I can make this much money driving Uber, but then I gotta subtract this much because I gotta get gas, 2, 3, 4 times a week. And I was like, I don't know if this is sustainable. But, by this point, I was on like plan P. Like, I was just like, I've gone through so many different things. I had all these like plans and alternative things that I was had in mind to do, and I never thought that I would have to go through all of them, and I did. So I was really sitting here like, well, shit, damn, and motherfucker, like, god damn, what am I gonna do? Trying to keep my head up, and I would talk to my friends, but I I was I was probably can't talk. I was probably withholding the bulk of my actual feelings about what I was going through because I felt like, I have friends that have gone through this, longer than I have, and everybody has their own things going on. I got friends having babies, I got friends doing this, doing that, and everybody's dealing with their own things. So I was like, I would talk about it, and I would voice my concerns about how I was making ends meet, but I never went into real detail about what was going on with me and how it was affecting me. So fast forward to March. And in March, my unemployment ran out, so I was really just like shitting bricks. Like fuck, what the fuck? What am I gonna do? Like my unemployment went out. My SNAP benefits got denied for a renewal. So I was really just at my wits end, But I was trying to keep it together. I was like, panicking is not going to help. Keep it together. Hold it the hell together. And then a blessing. So I was staying with my friend Nikki. Shout out to Nikki. Her husband was out of town for a week, and she was very close to having her baby. Shout out to Micah. Hi, Micah, my little cousin. And we went out. I think we went to like Luby's or something because that's just what we do. We go to Luby's because niggas. And I started getting these messages on LinkedIn, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock at night. Sorry. And I'm like, who the hell is messaging me on LinkedIn? Like, bitch, take your ass to sleep. So it's these guys from this software company that we used at my old job. And they were like, hey, are you still looking for a job? We know of an opportunity, da 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 da. So I obviously messaged them back immediately and was like, hell yes, I didn't say hell, but I'm like, hell yes, I'm still looking for a job. Like, you saying update my LinkedIn, bitch, I'm still looking for a motherfucking job. Hook a nigga up. So they were like, we know of this opportunity, send us your resume, da 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 da. They send my resume and they forwarded me an email from a project manager that was like, hey, this looks good, we're going to get in contact with them. So I'm just like, woo, woo! Like, because listen, despite what anyone says, especially in this industry, oil and gas, a lot of times it is who you know. Like, it's what you know, but it's also who you know, because a lot of times what you know is not going to get you in the door, but who you know coupled with what you know will get you to the table for an interview, not just in the door. So I'm sitting there and I'm just, I'm telling Nikki, I call her cousin. I'm like, cousin, da 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 da. We're like, woo, So I'm just like, okay, they're gonna be calling me any day. Let me get myself together. Let me get my head straight. You know what I'm saying? Let me snap off this Lego head and put on this good Lego head. Like I'm in the right mindset. I'm fucking ready. I didn't get no damn calls. So after a week, I was like, well, maybe someone was on vacation, because a lot of times when companies are recruiting for positions, there's always someone who is vital to the whole thing on vacation or out of the country or whatever. So I was just like, okay, maybe just give them. After 2 weeks though, I was like, well, that was a bust. Now I'm back to square zero, and I'm really starting to panic because now, with no unemployment coming in, like my funds were almost completely tapped dry. I was just like, and it was to the point where I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna be able to drive Uber and keep gas long enough to bring the money in. Like it was just that critical. Whew, I was just taking a deep breath and just, But then someone from the company that they referred to called me and she's like, hey, I want to interview you. And, it's hard because it's like, okay, I'm ready for an interview. I'm whatever it takes. Like, I can be there, in 2 hours. I just need to go, take a shower and, get my life together. And they're like, oh, what's today? Thursday? How about next Wednesday? And you're like, I need a job today. you know? But I said, sure, I can do that. So I get myself together. I think this was like the last week of March. And I go to the interview. And it was so funny because I had to like wear this like lavender colored shirt because I couldn't find my white button up shirt, or maybe I threw it away because it didn't fit anymore, or it was discolored. So I was just I was like, well, I'm not sure if this is, I definitely was not wearing the right colors for an interview, but I was like, fuck it. This industry, again, it's, especially for the job that I was interviewing for, it's not as formal. It's not like I was like I'm not a CEO or a manager or director or anything like that. So I go to the interview. The interview was great. The only things were my body started to like give out. The interview was like at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was so nervous and anxious. I could not sleep the night before. So when I don't sleep, my body immediately just starts having a damn revolution. Like I start to get sick almost immediately if I go, a long period of time without sleeping. So during the interview, my voice starts to give out. I start croaking like a frog. I keep getting Charlie horses and cramps in my hamstrings. So I'm like, they're asking me questions and I'm smiling and answering the questions. I have this big Joker grin on my face, and under the table I'm like swinging my legs trying to get this cramp out of my leg. Then I have to use the bathroom because the interview was supposed to be an hour and it went on for 2. And I don't know why I had to go. I had to go to the bathroom. I always have to go to the bathroom for some reason. Like my bladder is just, it's just a betrayal to the rest of my body. So I'm like, oh girl, I gotta go to the bathroom, and they want to keep asking me questions, and my legs are doing the most, and my voice, I can barely get the damn words out. But I got this big smile on my face, and I'm excited, and whatever the fuck you talking about, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Give me a motherfucking job. So all of that worked out. I didn't pee on myself, so I was thankful for that. Great, good job me. And when my now boss, ding ding ding, she walked me down, and she was just saying, I need to go back and we need to discuss some more, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be you. And I was like, oh god, oh god, oh yeah. I was just, oh man, I can't even describe how I was feeling. But I was in the lobby of somebody's company. Let me keep it together. But I go out to the car, and I just, if I was a little bit more coordinated, I probably would have done that little heel kick thing. But I'm sure I would have fallen and hurt myself and probably torn up my suit. So I didn't try it. But mentally, I was doing it. Just so y'all know. So later that evening, I get a call, and she's, they say, hey, we want to give you the job, but it's going to be contract, so we have to go through all this other bullshit. Great. Because I could tell during the interview that they were very, very excited about me. They probably wanted to hire me on the spot, but with the way things go, that wasn't an option. You have to go through all these channels. So it's just like, we want you, but we can't say, yes, you have the job right now, because we have to go through this other bullshit. But hey, I got the job, and I just completed my second week. On yesterday was Saturday, my second week, I was already working overtime and stuff. So, blessing. It could not have come at a more, like right on time. Like I was really at that point where I did not know what I was going to do. And I don't know if I was trying to say it without saying it to my friends that, you guys, I don't have shit. As in, I don't know, I don't have the money for rent. I don't have, at one point, y'all, I had I had less than $30 to my name. Like, I was really at a point where I did not know what I was going to do. And, I was trying to just keep it together and stay positive. But there were nights when, I cried myself to sleep, or I just didn't want to be, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had exhausted everything I could think of. I was selling stuff. I was doing everything that I could think of. I was, my friends were blessings, and they were giving me money here and there, a little bit here and there. But I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sustain. I don't even have enough money to get out there and drive Uber because the gas is eating me alive. So this job came at just the right time. And I said to Nikki, I said, Micah, her daughter, she came into this world and she brought her uncle, her cousin, a job. And because of that, like getting this job right around the time when she was born, I will always put her, I always was going to put her on a high pedestal, but I will always put that little girl on the highest pedestal because I feel like she really came into this world with a blessing right on. Like, she came right on time for us all as a, family friend unit. But for me personally, like getting this blessing and then seeing her beautiful face, like, needless to say, that is going to be one spoiled little girl by me. So, what should you guys take from this tale? I have a few things that since I've been working, in the back of my mind, I've been kind of doing some mental gymnastics, and really thinking about what I went through and how this affected me. How did I come out differently, and what could I have done differently during or before, even before, to prepare. So, because, no one ever really tells you how difficult unemployment is. Like, you assume it's going to be hard, but it's much harder than you realize, and especially when you are ill prepared. And I can admit I was ill prepared. Like, I thought I was prepared, but I wasn't. Like, it just... So, the first thing, I kind of broke this down into different topics. The first thing is the mental toll, because being unemployed really does take a mental toll on you. Like, it will have you feeling helpless. And for me, already dealing with depression and, being off my meds because I couldn't afford them anymore. And, I started getting to the point where I couldn't afford to pay my therapist. He was trying to work with me. Like, he was, hey, I'll just charge you the copay. You don't have to worry about that. And I was just embarrassed because I couldn't even pay the copay. But, so yeah, I was just out here feeling helpless. And, I really did start out carefree, and I was glad for the break. I was like, yeah, bitch, I ain't gotta work. It's gonna be about a month. I can sit around in my drawers. I can do what the fuck I wanna do. Like, if I just wanna lay around and sit on the couch and fart and scratch my balls and play video games and eat pizza, I can do that. And I did. However, the longer that goes on, the more then you start to panic and be like, fuck, I shouldn't have bought that pizza. Like, I should have, went to the grocery store and got some shit to make some spaghetti because that will last longer. And I shouldn't have done this, and I need to turn off all the damn lights and let me put the air on like 78 or 80, even though I'm gonna cook, but I don't want to use up too much electricity and run that bill up. Like, you just start, all these things start going through your head, and you just start panicking, and you don't know what you're going to do. And it gets difficult, and it was to the point where I did not know how I was going to survive. And I had a mental checklist. I had plans A, plan B, plan C. I had all these things, but I learned that it's one thing, because I am a planner. That is what I do. Like, if I'm going to do something, I plan. I want to have everything. Like, if I'm going, and it's more than just preparing for a trip. Like, things that I want to do, I have a plan, and I usually have a backup plan. And depending on what it is, I may even have a backup to the backup plan. That is just what I do. But it's one thing that I learned to have a plan and have several plans. It's another thing to have to execute them. Like, going through and seeing, okay, I'm on plan B. Damn. Plan B is fine. I can survive. Okay, I'm on plan C. Shit. I did not want to be here, but it's fine. Okay, now I'm on plan J, and I'm just like, fuck. this ain't even a plan. I'm just out here, my life is hanging together with some fucking duct tape. Like shit. So that was very, very difficult. It was the whole thing is very, very discouraging. Um, and again, you assume that it's going to be so, but it it tends to be a lot worse than you think it will be. Again, and this is like not everyone goes through this. If you're well prepared, you got a nice nest egg, and you're unemployed, you get unemployment. Some people can go through unemployment and it's not a big deal, but for me, it just wasn't. I was not as well prepared as I thought I was. Um, so those were the things with the mental toll, and then the emotional toll. Like, I mean, it just made me feel so alone, even though I knew people that had gone through the same thing, and I know that I'm not the like I know it's hard out here. There's plenty of people that I have worked with in the past that I've see on LinkedIn looking for a job, just like I was looking for a job. But you still feel so alone because you feel like because no one knows your exact story. No one knows your exact circumstances. No one knows what is going on in your bank account and what people are calling you asking for money. What creditors are trying to verbally drop kick your ass and asking you for payments and blowing up your shit. Like, no one knows everything that you're dealing with. So even though there are people in similar positions, no one is in the exact same position you are. And you get to a point, or at least I did, where it's like I couldn't even try to put it into perspective and say, okay, well, these people, I know people who lose their job and that's it. Like, they on the street, and I'm not on the street. I haven't been on the street, and even though by the time I got my job, I was close to I mean, I was not going to be on the street, but I was not going to have my own place. But even then, um, I already struggle with feeling like a burden to my friends. Like, I feel like, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I've talked about this too much, and I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna bring it up again. This show included. So that's something that I've always struggled with. So now I'm just like, well, I mean, who's gonna take me in if I can't make my rent anymore? Like, where am I gonna go? And it made it even worse because I am not close to my family. You guys, again, if you don't know the story about my family, listen to episode 10. Um, so I was really just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because and maybe it was my pride, but I was just like, I don't know how, like, who am I gonna ask? Hey, friend, yeah, I'm gonna need a place to stay. Like, I have never had to do that, and I didn't even know who I would ask, who has the space. My friends are having kids and they have whole families and husbands and shit. Who the fuck want to take my bitch ass in? So it was a struggle. Um, I did not know what I was gonna do, and I didn't want to inconvenience anybody. I didn't want anybody uprooting their life to accommodate me. So it was, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest tolls it took on me. Just like, what am I going to do? How am I going to navigate and not be a burden on somebody? Because I don't have a job, and I'm not going to be bringing in much money. So it's not, even if I did live with someone, I'm not going to be able to contribute to the household the way I should. So, I mean, I'm a grown ass man. I can't just be living up in somebody's house scot free while I wait for a job to come through. So that was very, 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 very difficult. Um, so with all that being said, I kind of amassed some tips, some things that I've thought about after going through this, and I think that it, I think someone, maybe a lot of people, hopefully, will be able to get some use out of this. So the first thing is, while you have a job, let your work speak for you. I say that all the time. I have said that for years. But basically what I mean is, be good at what you do. Whatever it is. I mean, now we're talking about jobs. I'm not talking about it in the bedroom. Nobody cares. I mean, well, let me rephrase. People care if you can suck dick or ride or whatever the fuck. Very good. But right now we're talking about making money. Now, if that is how you make your money, I'm not talking to you. I don't want nothing to do with that. But good luck. But if you have a job, and it does not matter what your job is, it don't matter if you work at the Apple store, don't matter if you ringing up groceries at the grocery store, which I have done in my lifetime. It doesn't matter what you do, be good at it. And the reason why I say that, let your work speak for you, because you never know who you will encounter that will remember you and recommend you in the future. Basically, what I'm to give you an example, 3 out of my last 4 jobs, including the one that I just landed, were through referrals from people I've made a lasting impression on from the quality of my work and my knowledge. It wasn't because it was just like, oh, Curtis, I mean, he just, he's such a nice guy. And, it was, okay, he knows what the fuck he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. Yes, I vouch for him. I would work with him again. I want him on my team. I can hire. Like, that was how it is. Those are the impressions that I made. So, and it was all through my work. Like, yes, I go to work and I don't like a lot of drama at work. I have to spend too much time with you bitches. I don't want no drama. So I'm nice, I mean, generally I keep to myself. I don't like to be bothered. Just let me do my work and go home. But I'm not that person that goes to work raising hell and scheming and trying to get somebody fired, all that extra. And I bring all that up to say, I've had all that stuff happen to me, which I think I will talk about on a future episode. I have a couple of work stories that I think you guys will appreciate. But basically, so the first tip again is be good at what you do. Let your work speak for you, because you never know who's paying attention and who's going to remember you, and how that will impact you in the future. The next tip is save money if you can, wherever you can, because you never know when your rainy day will come, and you never know if that's going to be like a little trickle, or if that's going to be that rainy day that's going to wash your ass out of the spout like the goddamn spider. So, put money aside where you can. Like, one of my big problems with my last job was, I would save money, but I was also spending very frivolously. Like, anything, little thing that I want, well, let me get my ass on Amazon. I'll have it in 2 days. Hey, there's a lot of shit that I just don't need, that I was just, again, frivolous spending is a problem that I have had. I don't want to say I have it now. And if I still do, I don't know, because I haven't got my first paycheck yet. But that is something that I will be working on. The next tip is swallow your pride. Pride don't pay no bills. Pride does not put groceries in your Frigidaire. Pride does not put food in your belly. Pride does not put gas in your car. Swallow your pride. If you have people around you that care about you and will do what they can to help you, let them. And I say that because that's something, again, that you guys heard earlier that I struggle with. Like, even when my friends give me money, now I'm still just like, it feels wrong. I'm so used to being the person that people can depend on and say, hey, I need this until this day, or I need this, or I need that, or such and such is having a hard time, and hey, let me send you a gift card to go get a massage. Like, I'm so used to being that person. So when the roles were reversed, I was like, this is not right. Like, I should not be taking anything from anybody. Like, this just does not work. It's not right. It don't fit. But I had to do what I had to do. The next tip is research unemployment in your state, and unemployment benefits is what I mean, and apply as early as you can, because you never know. Like, just research, see what you can get. And what I did was I researched the unemployment benefits in Texas, and I saw what the payouts were. I saw how all that worked, and I was able to budget before I lost my job. Excuse me. Before I lost my job, I was able to budget and see, okay, at least I know I'll be able to float a little bit, because I know how much money will be coming in. Next, research other avenues of assistance in your area, such as food stamps. Listen, again, put your pride aside. I don't give a fuck what's going on. If you qualify for food stamps, get them bitches. Get the bitches, get them bitches. And swipe that shit when you go to the grocery store and get you some fucking groceries and feed yourself and your family. You don't, listen, that's what it's there for. That is what the assistance is there for. So there's no problem with taking advantage of it when you need to. Next is, and this is a big one, know who you can depend on when shit hit the fan. Now this goes obviously beyond just unemployment really you need to know who's in your circle and who you can depend on. I think we did an episode about friends, but know who you can depend on. And going through something like this usually will show you and tell you who you can depend on when shit hit the fan and when it's all nice and it's not all gravy and you just, ooh, I haven't heard that phrase in a long time. I don't know where that came from, all gravy. The next tip is know your expenses. Know the difference between needs and wants. You know, I hear these stories and I know that there are a lot of people who just go through life, they just swipe and pray. I don't know how you live like that. Shout out to you if you do. But if you're in a situation like this, when you're unemployed, you need to know your expenses. You need to know every dime, every penny that is coming out of your account. A lot of people have these recurring monthly charges and they're not that much, so you don't even pay attention to it. That shit matters. Know your expenses, know what is going to come out of your account and when it's going to come out of your account. Next, budget. Now, because I'm a planner, I have a very detailed, complex Excel spreadsheet budget. I have a couple of friends who have seen it. They know that, and it's not that complex. It's just lengthy because I'm detail oriented, and that is what I do. I plan ahead, so I budget. I'm like, okay, I want to take these trips, so my budget will go through the whole year. I know how much I'm going to make every month. I know where I can save money. I know, okay, this is the month I want to travel. This is the paycheck that is going to pay for it, and everything else is already paid for. So I'm not going to be in a situation where I ain't got no damn money because I'm trying to go out of town and stunt. Not that I go out of town and stunt because I'm raggedy. But you get what I'm saying. So the point is budget. And that is where you can keep track of all those nominal expenses that come out that you don't pay, your Hulu and all that kind of stuff. Just really do a nice budget so that you can see what kind of position you're in. Now, I did not budget the way I should have because I was dreading the state of my finances. And that was a lesson that I learned. I should have, kicked my own ass and done it because I would have been a little bit better off. Like things would not have dried up so quickly if I had done what I should have done and what I knew I should have done, but I didn't want to do it because I felt like it was going to make me feel even more depressed to see that money was not coming in the way that it used to. But you have to do it. Next, call your creditors and let them know about your situation because you never know who is willing to help and what they're going to do to help. Now, if they don't know and you start missing payments, they're just going to be calling. But sometimes you can call and they'll say, okay, we can work with you. Can you make this little bit of payment? And can you make a payment? You'd be like, bitch, I ain't got no job. What you mean, can I make a payment? Like, God damn, can you hear? Shit, fuck. Do it. It sucks. I hate talking to them people. I hate talking to anybody. I hate owing money, but do what you got to do. Call them, let them know your situation and see what kind of arrangements you can make. Next step is if you're lucky enough like I was, even though it wasn't much, but if you're lucky enough to get a head start, like a heads up that you're going to lose your job, and even after, obviously after you have to do it, but if you can do it before, even better. Spruce up your resume. And do that before you start applying for jobs. Like especially if you haven't looked at your resume in years, you ain't looked at your resume since Moesha was on TV. Give it a gander and just spruce it up. The next thing about keeping on the topic of resumes is research resume tips for your industry. There's no one size fits all when it comes to resumes. Now I know there's a lot of people out there, and shout out to the people who are resume gurus and they know how to rewrite a resume and they get people hired quickly. A lot of them will tell you your resume needs to be 1 page or 2 pages. It needs to be this, it needs to be that, it needs to be this. And all of those are good tips, don't get me wrong, but again, I say research your specific industry, because in my industry, a 1 page, 2 page resume, no one wants to see that. They want to see what projects you worked on. They want to see what did you do at every company. I know somebody whose resume is like 12 pages long, and it's not a problem because that is what they want to see in this industry. Obviously, that's not every industry. Most industries, they don't want to see no 12-page resume, but you need to know that. You need to do that research so that you know what to present. Next is set goals for yourself in your job search. For example, I will apply to this many jobs a day, or I will spend this many hours looking for a job every day. I know a lot of people say, looking for a job is a full time job. You need to be spending 8 hours a day looking for a job. If that works for you, great. If not, then do what works for you. But set goals so that you're not just wasting time every day and not moving towards finding something. And it may not necessarily even be looking for another job. Your thing might be, okay, I'm figuring out how I can move to a different industry, or I'm figuring out how can I open a business, how can I start working for myself. I'm going to start this creative process so that I can start, I can do this creative venture that I've been wanting to do. Shout out to, and that's something that I was doing, like while I've been unemployed. That was really what gave me the time to get this podcast off the ground. So just do what works for you and set those goals. Make sure that you are utilizing stress relief techniques, even if you don't feel stressed, because a lot of times you are, especially with finances and not having a job, unemployment, that shit, you are stressed even if you don't realize it. So it's good for you to utilize those techniques. Whatever it is that you do that helps you relieve stress, do that shit and do it regularly, do it often, do it on a schedule if you can. All of it helps. Next tip is don't be afraid to utilize contacts that you've had for however long in your career while you're searching, because again, you never know who you may have made a good impression on. And listen, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you have contacts, you have people that you've worked with in the past, reach out and see if they know of something or if they can do something to help you, because again, you just never know. Now, obviously, only do that if you've made a good impression and you're on good terms. If you cussed out Keisha on your last day at your last job, don't call Keisha asking her if she knows of a job. Like, don't do that shit. Don't do that to her, and don't do that to yourself. You look the fuck stupid. Next tip, take breaks when you can. Like, unplug and take care of you. Because if you're like me, sometimes you don't want to be bombarded with all the positivity all the time. I appreciate it, but there are times where I just don't want to hear that. Like, it doesn't help me to put things into perspective at times. Sometimes it's good and it's inspiring and it helps and I'm good and I appreciate my friends doing that. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to hear that shit. And luckily for me, most of my friends know me well enough that they know when I need to be lifted up and they know when I need to be left the hell alone. And a shout out to them. I appreciate that. But basically, whatever taking care of you means to you, do that shit. Do it, do it, do it. And my last tip is, and this is something that I just recently started to do, but try to find the beauty and the lessons in your struggle. Now, this will be difficult for most people, if not all. But you can do it and you will appreciate the results. I've been doing this, and it may not be until you find another job that you're able to do this, because I was not able to do it until I was at somebody's job knowing that I was making money again. Then I could look back and say, okay, what did I learn from this? Like, I could not have just gone through this just to be going through it. Like, I have to learn something from this. And I did. Like, for example, I learned that I'm not as financially literate as I thought. And I see that there are a lot of areas where I can improve financially, how I manage my finances. And I've also learned to appreciate tests of patience. Like, this was a test of patience. And I feel like, every day there's a little test of patience. And I just, sometimes I'm gripping the steering wheel while I'm in traffic and I'm just like, but I just really be like, okay, you know what? Just be patient, be patient. And there is something, I don't even know how to describe it, but that reward of your patience is very fulfilling. So again, you guys, try to find the beauty and the lessons in your struggle. I'm really of the mindset that we don't go through struggles for no reason. Like, we go through struggles to learn, and you have to be willing to learn. Now, even if it's not until your situation changes that you learn and you really are able to appreciate those lessons, but don't just move into the next situation without doing that work and finding those things to be appreciative of from what you just went through. And I want to say that that is my last tip. And that wraps up this episode of Gayside Stories. So, thank you guys for listening. I know that we've been on a break, or I've been on a break for the past 2 weeks, but there's a lot that's been going on, and I don't just mean with the lineup shift, no Destiny's Child. There's with my new job, I was trying to get acclimated to that, and there's other things that are going on that are really, really weighing heavy on me. That I just it's been very difficult for me to process. So I've tried to take some time to get my head together, get my thoughts together, get my ideas and my plans together so that I could come back and do this show, because I do love doing this show, even if it's just a handful of people listening. I appreciate it and I love you guys, and it is what it is. So with that being said, you guys send in some story and show topic ideas. The latest Gayside story should be available by the time this is up. You guys can also check out the rest of my raggedy ass writing at tjclaytonwrites.tumblr.com, and that's Clayton, Clayton. Thank you for listening again. I think I just said that, but I really do appreciate it. Shout out to all of my friends who have held me down. I know I shout out my friends a lot, but my friends really are my family. And so shout out to them. They know who they are. I would do a whole list, but y'all know who y'all are. I love y'all. Thank y'all. And thanks to everybody else. Remember to share this with your friends, with your family, your coworkers, and whoever else that you want to listen to the show. And with that being said, I'm out. As always, you guys, protect your walls or they will crumble. And y'all can't see me right now, but I'm doing that Sealy hand thing that she did. Anyway, bye, y'all.